Hello, everyone. I welcome you to another learning workshop. In our workshop today, my intention here is to help you through a tool which is called the Job Satisfaction Wheel, help you gauge and understand or assess how satisfied you are with your present day job. And I shall do this through a story of Matthew. He was my client, and I shall walk you through the work me and Matthew we did together. This is a very powerful tool, friends. And while you look at Matthew today, he is quite happy and fulfilled in his present day job. But this state of mind he was not at when he came to me for help. And even though we did a lot of work together, which include a 3-month period of coaching, this was one of the tools that I helped him with to get a grip of when he found himself completely lost and confused, not really being able to put a finger on where exactly what was wrong. And all he kept asking me was, I do not know why I feel I'm not very satisfied with what I'm doing right now. So, friends, just like Matthew, if you feel in your present day job there's something that's bothering you, you're confused, you're not fully satisfied, or you do not really know which area to put your finger on because it's all mumble jumble, it's like overlapping with each other because we do get into such situations. So, the intention here through this workshop and through a real life case wherein I and Matthew had worked, I share with you this tool. Come along with me and let's learn. And you can use it whichever location you are at, whatever position you are at, and come back to this. This tool may not completely kind of bring a solution to all your job related issues, but it's a powerful one that can help you take the first step. So it's kind of a diagnosis tool and a very powerful one. So let's get started and let's learn how to use this. This is the wheel, and we call this the job satisfaction wheel, and it has certain domains. So we would be assessing an individual's job satisfaction on certain factors. Now, friends, these factors are it's kind of a framework that will help you structure your thoughts around which area of your job you like or do not like, and will help you run the diagnosis and understand what's wrong and where. Let's look at each of these factors in a bit of detail. Let's start with task variety. Task variety, it refers to the amount of variation you have in your role and whether your workload feels diverse, interesting, or is your job quite repetitive and mundane. So when you are looking at this particular factor, the variety in your task, how engaging it is and how does it really brings the best out in you, look for those factors. And if it is repetitive and mundane, even look for those, and I'll tell you what we would do next as we come in the practical usage of this job satisfaction tool. Next is your colleagues. Now, this factor is where we would assess how happy we are with our coworkers, because on an average, we spend majority of our time with people we work with. So the kind of co-workers you have play a very important role both to your mental health, your emotional health, and also your job satisfaction in a given place. So when you're thinking about this domain, consider the shared goals you share with them, the like-mindedness you enjoy, or the level of engagement and work ethics you find among your colleagues. Then comes the working conditions. This domain include the physical conditions of your office, how pleasant your office is, how reasonable is your commute to work, how appealing you have lunch options, and another subset within this working conditions are the cultural conditions, friends, which is very, very important, which is subtle because culture is not really something that you will be seeing it in a tangible way in any given firm, but it plays a pivotal role in how satisfied you are in any given organization or a role. So, cultural conditions are about the friendly and inclusive atmosphere you feel when you go to work every single day, how creative and collaborative your boss, your clients, and the people around you are. Or is it that you are in a toxic and a very difficult environment where all the time all you're thinking is how do I manage this workplace politics instead of your job? So this cultural conditions play a very important role in our job satisfaction. Next comes the workload, which is the amount of work you have and how often you feel stress or the kind of deadlines. Do you really have support? You have a team, or that you're doing more than your physical and mental capacity permits you to. Then comes the autonomy part. This factor in job satisfaction is about the control you have on your job. Factors like flexible hours, the balance that you could do between your work and other commitments, the kind of projects you take on, and within projects, how much control you have, whether you have people who report to you or people you report to, and the deadlines. So, this is the autonomy within a given role. Then we have the learning and educational opportunities. This is more about overall in an organization, how much an organization spends or invests in you in helping you learn new skills or become competent. External training courses or on the job training are some of the examples of education and learning opportunities. Finally, person environment fit. This refers to how well matched you are to the environment in which you are working. For example, this is very deeply embedded to your strengths, like things you do well, your values, what's really important to you. Because sometimes it may so happen it's a little bit connected to the cultural as well. But here, values meaning things that matter to you the most. So, so are you in a role or are you in an organization which which are aligned to your values, to things that matter to you the most, or are an organization into unethical working, or they hold a very different value about money and work ethics while you hold a very different value. So this is one of the most important factor that can help a person assess how satisfied they are in a given job. And how much freedom do you enjoy at your work where you are allowed to be yourself? It's not like you always have to wear a mask. Mask, not the literal one, but a mask of trying to pretend to be somebody else while that's not your core true self. So person environment fit is one of the most important factor when you assess your job satisfaction. So now, friends, it's time. Let's do the work. Grab a pen and a paper, and just like Matthew and the way I and Matthew worked on it, I would want you to work along with me. This is the job satisfaction wheel, and as I was just talking to you about the various factors, person environment fit, task variety, colleagues, working conditions, workload, autonomy, education and development opportunities. These are the main factors that would help you sit and assess how satisfied you are with your job in the present day. Now, you could draw the same wheel, give it a score from 1 to 10, 10 being highest, 1 being lowest. And as you understand what it really means to be task variety, colleagues, what it all means, as we have just seen it in our previous slides, here I'm sharing with you what I did with Matthew. So I asked Matthew to sit now that he understood what exactly is working condition as a factor or workload or autonomy in a present role. I asked him, look at your current role and basis on all that you understand, for these factors, give yourself a score to your present role. And all he needs to do is understand 1 is low, 10 is a high score, and think through how much he feels he has task variety, how much satisfied he is with his colleagues, how are the working conditions, the kind of workload he has, the autonomy he enjoys, or the education and development opportunities he holds. And basis on this, he came up with these scores that you see on the screen. Once we were through with this, then I asked him, he needs to now take into take into consideration which areas he really wants to improve. So as you're seeing this Matthew's completed job satisfaction wheel, you will find that workload he's given a score of 4. For education and learning opportunity, it is 5, and for colleagues, it is 5. Now, friends, one thing while we are looking at Matthew's job satisfaction wheel, a completed one, it may not be the same for each one of us. Anything less than 5 is basically giving you an indication of that this is where you're not satisfied. But at the same time, it is also helping you understand how important that factor it is for you. So let's look at Matthew in this. For him, colleagues are at 5, which means he's just okay with his workplace colleagues. But at the same time, it could be that he may not be someone who really is very keen on having a very, very close relationships or a very inclusive and friendly colleagues. This may not be part of his value. Some people they are quite social and they love being around with people. So if for them, they find that they have a difficult colleagues and they may not, that could be a factor for them to really not feel satisfied at their given job. But in case of Matthew, at 5, he's just okay. So through this just one example where there's a low score, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that what's important for one may not be for the other. So there's no hard and fast rule that everything has to have a high score or a low score. This is just a tool to help you what really matters to you and to help you get the first hand assessment of what's really is at play if you're not satisfied in your present day job. In case of Matthew, the first thing I guess here is workload. And through this, he understood that the kind of workload he was managing was the main reason for his dissatisfaction at job. Because in his previous job, just in case, I'm just sharing with you Matthew's story. In his previous job, he didn't really had that. And now through this, he learned where the gap was and how he could improve on. You could also use the same thing and for each domain, specifically also, if in case you're looking for a, a new job, or maybe there's a internal job posting and you really wanted to move there, this tool can also help you look at the job responsibilities or the job description shared with you, where quickly using this tool, you will get to understand out of all these factors, which one is really you feel is important. Then give yourself a score to understand what are your scores for each of the factors and what really matters to you. Accordingly, then arrive at a decision, because this tool will not only is telling you where the gaps are, it's also indicating to you which area you find yourself quite satisfied with. And the third most important thing, this tool is helping you understand what really matters to you. For some, it's the task variety. For some, it could be colleagues. For some, it's the workload. For some, it's autonomy. So, friends, just like Matthew, this is a tool the way he found and now is in a job where he's quite happy and fulfilled. You could be there as well using this tool. It's quite simple to use, and I'm sure with this wheel in front of you, you could easily draw it on a piece of paper or just simply write. Maybe you don't need a wheel as such, and give yourself a score and arrive at that score that helps you move ahead and make that important decision. Well, that's all for today, friends. I hope this mini learning workshop and this tool, you will find it useful and come back to it anytime you feel you are kind of confused and not really quite satisfied with your job. If in case you would like to enroll in my coaching program or speak with me, here are my coordinates. Book your free consultation call, and I look forward to coaching you just the way I had coached Matthew and helped him find clarity and direction. Thank you.